Okay, so in the chat, I am going to give you a couple of links. And the first one, sorry, I'm trapped in my slideshow. The first one is the actually free thing that I want to share with you, which should help you write the rest of the sales page, because we're only really talking about the header, the tagline, the intro paragraph. And believe me, that is that's a lot of ground to cover. But you're going to, once you've mastered that first section, you're going to want to be able to write the rest. And this is the 13 questions that you have to answer on your sales page for it to work. And then I also want to give you one more link. Which I've lost. Yeah. Do you ever have that thing where you go to click on something and you click on exactly the thing that you needed to not click on and everything closes instead? Because that just happened. And it's fine. That's how we're doing today. Okay. So the next link, the last link, is the application form for the Truer Copy Mastermind if you are interested. And let me just label that. That's the application form. First one is the freebie. Okay, so we've got that sorted. That is housekeeping. So let's actually take a look. I'm going to share my screen. There we go. Back to this. Okay, so I just said that if you answer those questions, those 13 questions, your sales page is going to work. But what do we actually mean by a sales page working? And you might think, well, a sales page is working if it's making the sale, and that's not a wrong answer at all. That is very true. But there's working, and then there's working really well. So when we're just trying to make a sale, sometimes we can get a bit muddied in terms of who we're trying to speak to. And what we really want is to sell to our ideal clients, the people who absolutely adore everything that we do, can't get enough. They're so excited to join our programs or our one-on-ones. And that's who we really want to bring in, because if we try to bring in everybody, we'll succeed, probably, possibly, but we'll be absolutely miserable. They'll be miserable. Everybody will be driven crazy because there are essential fits that are missing. So when we're really looking at what makes a sales page work and what makes it work ethically, we've got to keep in mind we are speaking only to our ideal clients. Those are the only people that we care about on this page. And we want to give them enough information to make the right decision for them in their own best time. And that is where we take an ethical departure from a lot of sales pages that want to rush the sale. You know, maybe they've got a countdown timer and you're feeling the pressure and it's like, oh my gosh, if I don't make this decision before tomorrow, it's going to go away. That's a good way to increase your sales, but I would rather have somebody really think through whether they want to join and whether they're ready. That way they'll be so excited to be there instead of filled with anxiety. So, sorry, the head cold is really slowing down my processing capability. Just bear with me. I can teach this in my sleep, and this is actually testing that theory. This means when they're on their sales page, when they're talking to us, when they're asking us questions, when they're trying to decide. No is always an okay answer. They can say no. That's fine. I love it when people say no. I love it when I say no to people. I mean, less so because I'm a people pleaser, but still, it's a good thing. No is always a good thing. Not right now is always an okay answer. And I can't afford it is always an okay answer, because the people that we want are the people who are so ready and so excited that those things are not factors that they are working with. Which isn't to say that we're going to manipulate them into some artificial, glow of excited energy where they're willing to throw caution to the wind and run up a credit card bill. That's not what we want to do. We just want to take the cream, the cream off the milk. We want to take the people who are really, really ready. So how do we do that? It all starts with the very top of the page. And by the very top of the page, we're talking about above the fold, which is fancy marketing speak for what's going on before anybody has to scroll down. So the top of the page kind of has one job, and the one job is to get them to actually want to scroll down and to read the rest of the page. Now, clickbait, if you've read a clickbait title, that also has the same job. It's to get you to click on the thing, to get you to read, and then you are disappointed to find that this is not at all what you expected. And that is not what we're doing here. We're actually doing the opposite, because what we want to actually build is a relationship that's based on trust and empathy, and that magical meeting of minds and hearts. And that's why we're doing ethical copy, because those are the relationships that lead to amazing business relationships that go on for years, that bring you referrals. It really is the secret to a sustainable business. And it's the secret to a business that you actually love running, which is important because a lot of us are solopreneurs. We don't have anybody sort of lifting us up. We have to provide that for ourselves. And it's a lot easier with clients who love you and you love them. And it's just a better way of doing things. I know I don't need to tell that to you. I'm preaching to my choir. So what we're actually doing in the entire sales page, because you have to understand, I think, how the whole sales page works to really get to know what part that first part above the fold plays. So what we're really doing with the entire sales page, and really your entire website, is building know, like, and trust. And know, like, and trust comes from the principles of influence by this guy called Robert Cialdini. And he's actually, he's kind of the Bible for mainstream manipulative marketing tactics, but he also has some really good insights into human psychology and what people need in order to feel comfortable and confident in making a decision. So I use some of his ideas, and then others of his ideas I'm like, nope, let's leave that. I don't like that. And I would encourage you to do the same with all the ideas, with my ideas too. So people buy from people they know, people buy from people they like, and people buy from people they trust. So we've got to, in our websites, in our pages, all of our pages, each of our pages, but especially the sales page, we have to help them feel like they know us and that we know them, that there is this knowledge back and forth, and we have to build some likability into it. And actually that all happens primarily on the homepage, the about page. The entire website works together when they finally end up on the sales page. And then the trust, it's interesting because I come from a background of writing for tech, software as a service. And their trust, like their trust section, they had two ways of doing this. It's so limited. One is to have testimonials. Those are great. Big fan of testimonials. It's a great way to build that social proof that, oh, other people had good luck with this. I'm going to try it too. That's how testimonials work. And the other way is they would have like this strip on their websites of all the brands that they had worked with before, which is another way of showing social proof. But as solopreneurs, as coaches, because so many of you are, we have an extra way of building this trust. And this is why I love working with coaches and healers and mystics, people who have found a way to do something that is different and more effective for their ideal clients, because you have a story to tell. And I'm not going to go into like a storytelling framework thing because I just can't even with those. Am I alone in that? Those get so overly complicated. No, what I'm saying is you have a story of why you do what you do in the way that you do it. You came to this way of working, this way of solving the particular problem you solve. You came there because of a journey that led you to those conclusions. And that's really your secret sauce. And that is something I want you to keep in mind as you are writing your sales page, as you're writing your homepage, is that magic, that journey that you've taken that led you to these conclusions, because that is your built-in differentiator. And it doesn't matter if you graduated coaching school yesterday or you've been doing this for a decade or two, that journey is going to be what builds the trust. So what we're working with, what we're having a conversation with, especially in this first part of the sales page, is what they're feeling right this second about the sales page. So never mind what they're feeling about their lives. We're going to get there. But right now, they have some feelings about your sales page itself. And it's hope. Hope is a good one. We love hope. Hope is really fun and easy to talk to. They hope that you have the answer that they've been searching for because they've been looking for such a long time. But they also fear that they're always going to be stuck in whatever discomfort, the pain, the symptoms that they're experiencing. And they suspect that you are just trying to take their money. It's reasonable, right? So that is the conversation that we start having with the header, the tagline, the introduction. And what we want to do is they're coming defensive a little bit. You know, it's that kind of defensiveness that's like, I've been hurt before, man, been disappointed before. I've tried a whole bunch of stuff. I've soaked a ton of money into this. And what do you got that's different? You know, it's a little bit of that. Even with the sweetest, kindest people in the world, there's a little bit of that. And what we want to do is wrap them in a big, warm hug that says, honey, you're in the right place. I understand. I understand what you're feeling right now. I understand what you're going through. I understand why it's hard. And you do not need to stay in that place. There's a way. There's a way out. There's a way forward. And this is where we take such a hard turn away from the way so many sales pages are written, because so many sales pages start by hammering the pain points. In fact, there is a formula called problem, agitate, solution that maybe if you studied copywriting, you've seen it. And you start with their pain point, their problem, and then you agitate it, you make it worse. So we're not doing that. We are not doing that because it's mean. I call it punching the bruise. But what we do want to do is not ignore their pain. And this is where a lot of people, they get so warm and loving and caring that they don't even want to touch it. It's like, oh, ouch, that hurts. I'm so sorry. I'm not going to touch it. And it's you want to do that because you're so sensitive to that pain. But I think it is also insensitive to ignore somebody who is in pain. We don't want to ignore the pain, we want to acknowledge it. And that helps everybody. So that's what we're doing with empathy. And all of this is working together to create that. Whoops. Okay. Hang on a sec. Okay. So I want to introduce an exercise because I don't want this to be just me yakking at you the whole time. I want you to actually get in their heads a bit. There it is. So can I do that? Maybe. Hang on, I'm trying to give you a nice, pretty sort of display, and it's just logistically difficult. So this is the exercise, and I want you to just take a couple of minutes, 3 minutes, to just do a little free write on what they're feeling about their lives right now, about their struggle, their symptoms. I really want you to think in terms of symptoms because we're also working with their levels of awareness. So what are they aware of right now in their lives that is not working optimally, that they really wish was different? All right, I'm going to actually put myself on mute for a sec and give you 3 minutes. I don't want to give you such a long time that you're like, I got stuff to do, ladies. So raise your hand if you are done. All right, that looks like most people. Okay, so What you did right now is write your first paragraph. Now that comes below the header and the tagline, and those are really important. But that first paragraph is really where we dig into empathy. Now, I like to sort of use that first paragraph as a "you are here" on a map. Like if you go to the mall and you see a map and it's like, you are here. And if you want to go to the clothing store, you've got to do all these complicated things because those places are labyrinths. But this is where they are right this second, emotionally, mentally, symptom wise. So I wonder if anybody would be brave and share one of the things that they wrote.
I'm happy to do that.
Yay! Okay.
Hi, Laura. Hi, everybody. Nice to see so many lovely faces. It's not very, do you want me just to read what I wrote? It's not long. I just kind of went through the whole thing quick.
Yeah, please.
They feel sad, lonely, and hurt. They're frustrated that they are at this point in their lives and still not happy with how it's going. They're frustrated that they've done everything they thought they were supposed to do and now it's falling apart. They want to scream and cry because they don't know how to fix it without burning the house down. They wish that they could wave a magic wand and have all the right answers and know exactly what to do next. They'd love to have peace and ease and connection.
Ooh, I love, like, out of all of that, it was that burning the house down line that just lit up,
Yeah.
glowed. And that is such a moment of emotional truth. And that's what I want everybody to look for in what they wrote, is maybe there's a moment in there that has such vivid emotional truth that it just catches your attention. And that can actually be promoted to a headline if you wanted. You can play with that, because as much as I'd love to give you some hard and fast rules, like you must do this here and this way, as long as you have all the pieces, you can play with reorganizing them. So you could use that as a very cool header that makes people want to read more, because wow, that is what they're feeling and that is what they're fearing. And I like how you packed in both of those. Like, can you read that line again? Like that one's part.
They want to scream and cry because they don't know how to fix it without burning the house down.
Okay. So don't know how to fix it without burning the house down. You feel X, but you don't know how to fix it without burning the house down. That is a really great header.
You feel sad, lonely, and hurt, but you don't know how to fix it without burning the house down.
Yeah. That would work. That would work really well. And then your first paragraph becomes talking about more specifics, like what are they feeling sad, lonely, and hurt about? Where is it coming from? Why? And the more specific you can be with that, painting that picture in that first paragraph, the more powerfully you will draw them in with all of that empathy.
Lately, it's about dissolution of marriages, people's marriages breaking down.
Perfect. Yeah, that's where I would lead.
Thanks, Lauren.
Thank you. Oh my gosh. Anybody else? Well, thank you, Jill. That was so helpful. It really is wonderful to see how to take these ideas and combine them into something that actually will work on the page. So I want to run you through one more exercise, and then I'm going to show you an example of how this works on a page that I was working on yesterday. One of my dear clients, Joanna Schmidt, volunteered, well, didn't volunteer, but she kindly said yes to my cheeky request to use her new sales page as an example, because we have her draft that we've been working on together. And then I had some ideas that I brought in. So I'll show you that after this next exercise. And it's easy. All you have to do is answer 3 questions. I'm going to type them in the chat because I don't have a fancy slide for them. It's what do you do? Who do you do it for? What does it help them do? Now, before you put pen to paper and free write on this, I want to explain each of these because these are really critically important. This is the formula for the most clear tagline you can possibly write. Now, when you've got your header, you can do a header like we just talked about with Jill. And that is the provocative header, the header that grabs your attention because it so perfectly nails where they are right now in their lives, in their pain, really, that it grabs their attention because they feel so seen. But that's not always easy to come up with. I mean, we kind of got a little bit lucky with Jill. It just kind of happened. But we can't rely on it to happen that way every single time. And I want to give you something that is absolutely foolproof that you can do if you have a head cold and you are not like processing. I want it to be that easy to do. And that is write whatever you want for the header. Your header can be the name of your program. It can be something sort of cute and poetic. I don't care. And that's because I have struggled with so many of my wonderful, creative, very poetic clients, and they want a certain kind of header that is beautiful and very vague. And I'm like, you can have it. You can have it. And it'll be beautiful and it'll have a wonderful feel to it. And nobody will understand what you're saying. And it's fine because we have a tagline that gives you all of the clarity that you need. So clarity is critical to start your page with. And it's critical whether you have a very sort of logical way of working, and it's sort of step by step and it's very transparent and easy to understand and everybody knows what it is. Some people have modalities that are just like, oh, I know what that is, cool. And a lot of my clients don't. Most of my clients, in fact, don't. They have modalities that are esoteric. They have things that are hard to understand. They have things that are hard to articulate, hard to explain unless you've experienced it. And that's where we really lean hard on this tagline. And it's not easy. It's not easy to commit to a description of what you do, but that's what I want to see if we can manage today. So what do you do? If that question makes you freak out a little bit, you are not alone. I've worked with many somatic coaches who are like, how long do you have? Because it's going to take me a while to explain this. And what I want you to think about, if you fall into that category of, like, so for some people it's easy. I'm a lawyer, I'm a psychologist, cool. If what you do is harder to explain, I want you to think about describing it here, not as a marriage to it, but as a way of letting your people know that they're in the right place for the kind of help they need. So if you can call yourself a coach of some kind, that's helpful. That's a clue. If you can maybe throw in actually, I would stay away from modalities just for now. We might add them back in later, but stay away from it now. I work with people to process their emotions through their bodies, not just their minds. That's how I would describe a somatic coach. Think about really the the nuts and bolts of what you do. What do you help people with? The second part, and play with a few variations. Go ahead. Second part is, who do you do it for? How would you describe your ideal client? And what I want you to think about there is some kind of descriptor. You know, maybe it's women who are running their businesses by themselves and feel overwhelmed. It's like a little descriptive phrase. And usually it has a noun. Usually it has a what they're trying to do or what they fear, but it's something that describes them. And then the very last part is, what does it help them do? And that's actually tricky. That is the trickiest one. So I want you to just take a minute and fill in the first two. What do you do? Who do you do it for? Okay, so if you've got what you do and who you do it for, the next thing I want you to write these three words: so they can. And that is the cheat. That's the cheat code for explaining what does it help them do. And where you're going with that is, what do they actually want to be able to do after working with you is a wild, wonderful success? Where is that actually getting them in their lives? So I'll give a little example, because it's really easy to stop a little bit short of that actual ideal outcome. I just last year, I invested in Dubsado, which is a client management system that is so far beyond what I usually attempt in terms of technology. It's just mind-blowingly difficult for me because my brain doesn't really work that way. And so I'm doing it so I don't lose track of projects, because I was so busy with so many different things happening that I was actually starting to lose track. And I didn't actually lose track, but the fear was there enough for me to want to invest in a system that would not allow me to do that and send me reminders and make sure that sort of be my second brain in a way. But what's really happening there, what I really want, is to never disappoint a client. That's what I really want. Do I want a system that I have to learn with technology? No, oh no, I really don't. But what I really, really want is not ever to disappoint a client. And gee, that's how you feel about your herbal inventory database. Oh my gosh, that sounds like a big project. Yeah. So when you're thinking in terms of that, so they can, I want you to get to that end point of what they really, really, really want at the end. And it's not your modality. It's not the technology. It's not the way to get there. It's figuring out where there is for them. All right. Does anybody want to share? Stacy, Lori, Kara? Okay. Stacy, Lori, Kara. Stacy, go.
Okay, so what do you do? I do coach training and business building, and I do it for healing arts practitioners, coaches, therapists, and counselors, so that they can what is it? So that they can grow practice as the go-to therapist, coach, or practitioner.
Read that last part again slowly.
So that they can grow a practice as the go-to therapist, coach, or practitioner.
Okay. Is that what they really, really want? I'm getting very Spice Girls on this, but tell me what they want, what they really, really want.
They want their clients to listen. They want to go deeper with their clients. They want confidence that they have enough skill to work deeply with their clients.
Ooh, I like that one. I like that one. So you're helping them build businesses that help them get that confidence to work even more deeply with their clients. That's nice. That's getting there. And that really sort of pulls out a differentiator, because there are so many people who are like, I'm going to help you build your business so you get bigger and more and all this. And what you are working to do is build businesses that help them to connect, like do the deeper work that they want to do. That's interesting.
Yeah, because I train coaches in ICF programs, like either for additional points if you're doing your ACC or PCC and you need additional points. So there's that element of it. But I train intuition coach, or I train personal power coach, so that people who are coaches but are not getting somewhere with their clients and they want to do more than just help them organize their garage and do the to-do list kind of coaching, to add these skills. And then I work with them as a sort of mentor consultant in order to build that into their business and grow their practice rather than a business, and it's a personable practice.
Ooh, I like that. There are so many possibilities in there. You know, grow your practice by going deeper, or, you know, ditch the to-do list coaching. And there are so many wonderful phrases that you can play with in this format. And what you have, if you just put what you have right this second, it's good. It does all the things. I'm always thinking, okay, this is a really great place to start. What can we do next? How can we kick it up a notch? What can we sort of tweak? And yeah, so, but if you just put what you started with, it has enough clarity to do the job already.
Great. Thank you. And thank you, Laurie.
Okay, Lori.
Thank you.
I just had a big aha moment when you did your Spice Girls thing again. How many times do I have to hear that? What do they really, 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 really want? I've got it now. So I coach parents of teenagers and young adults who are experiencing, I think I'm starting to use this phrase that's fiery or icy. And I help them work with their own beliefs and behaviors so that they can be responding and in relationship with their child in a different way. But my aha part is what they really want, because I've always been saying what they want is a peaceful relationship, a clear connection, and I use this language and it means something to me and it means different to other people. What they really want is they want to feel like they're a good parent.
Ooh.
That's what all parents want. But that's what it's always right under there. I'm doing something wrong. And what's under there always is like, I'm fucking this up, right? Right? Sorry,
Okay.
but
Yes.
that's the feeling when you're teenagers like that. It's like, oh my God, I messed this up. I'm a lousy parent. I haven't wanted to use that powerful of language before. How I'm just said it now for the first time. Is it too hard?
No, it landed. I mean, I'm a parent to a dog and a cat and some chickens. It landed. Like, I'm not even your target, and it hit me right here. Play with exactly those words. Like, just write them down in sort of a map on a page and just play with those ideas, because I think you could do the because of Jill, probably I think of it as a truth bomb header. where you were really speaking to exactly the voice that's talking in their head, and you are echoing what they're thinking. And maybe it's what they've been afraid to actually articulate, but it's what they've been thinking. And you can do it a couple ways. You can say, even when your teenager is doing, like, have a little descriptive moment, even when your teenager is doing, you're not fucking this up. So you can use it to wrap them in a warm hug, or you can acknowledge where they are. Like, I know when your teenager is doing X, what you're really afraid of is it's your fault. And you can play with both sides and see which one feels better to you. My only caution is, if you lead with that second one, acknowledging their fear, you don't leave them there. Like, that first paragraph sort of writes itself, because you want to reassure them very quickly, because that's why that's where we're doing the opposite of, punching the bruise. We don't want to agitate. We want to address, acknowledge, and then wrap them in a big warm hug that also, acknowledges what they're thinking and what they're feeling, what they're fearing. But, like, no, I'm going to be your best friend here, and I'm going to say that is not a fair assessment, and then tell them why.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Oh, thank you so much for sharing that. Oh, give you chills.
Yay.
That might be the cold. No, I'm kidding. Kara, what have you got?
Thank you. I help high school juniors and seniors uncover their own unique talents, skills, and interests so that they can make informed choices about what to pursue when they graduate from high school.
Love parts 1 and 2. And part 3 actually feels really important for the clarity bit. And I might even use, I still want to dig. I want to dig for the ultimate, so they can. And I know in that period, like that time of life, especially for like highly motivated students, there's so much fear and confusion about making the wrong choice. Because I mean, I remember, being 17, 16, 18 and thinking, oh, if I screw this up now, like, my whole life is going to be trash. That was the fear that was going in my head. There was so much pressure to do everything right because it would send you off into a trajectory that you could never escape, which of course is not true. But it took me like a decade to figure that out. So I would really play with a first paragraph that continues meeting them where they are in that emotion of confusion, of really not wanting to get this wrong, of all of that sort of anxiety that they're not choosing the exact right thing. And maybe, I don't know, for your people, you'd have to figure it out or let me know. But for them, are they dealing with their own expectations, or are they mostly dealing with their parents' expectations? There's a bit of that too. So
Sure, yeah, definitely. I mean, I almost wonder if I should write, am I writing to the parents? The parents are the ones who come to me first. The students don't necessarily, I mean, they're just doing what the mom or dad told them, And so it's kind of like, I mean, we do some really cool stuff, but they don't know they need it. They don't know that it matters until they get into it. I also work with career changers who are mid-career, who feel like they just did the next thing because that's the thing that made sense. They were an English major because they liked to write, and then they graduated and they got this job, and that meant that the next 3 jobs were the same kind of thing, and they don't want to be there. And so it's like kind of both ends of the spectrum. Yeah.
I like that. I like that story you just told. And I want to see that in your sales page. Because that's the trajectory in action.
Yeah.
But you brought up a really good point about who's actually the decision maker. Mm-hmm. And you're doing something which we usually see. I usually see this in B2B, business to business services, because business to business services, you are working with multiple levels of decision makers, but you are doing a coach to parent, coach to kid triad. Mm-hmm. So the first level of decision maker that you have to speak to is the parent, and then the second level is the kid, but that's very secondary because the parent's going to be making this choice. So you've got to get in the parent's head of what they want for their kid, what they really, really want. And that is going to really come from some client research. I would hope, but I wouldn't assume that they just want their kids to be happy. Maybe they have a lot of like sort of money issues, and they want their kids to be financially secure. Maybe that's their big one. So I wouldn't assume, but I would absolutely ask. Yeah. Oh, thank you so much. That was such a juicy one.
Thank you.
Okay, so we are coming at the end of the hour, but the good news is you've basically got your headline and your tagline in your first paragraph. We snuck it in. But what I want you to think about is you can have whatever header you want. You can make it the name of your program. You can make it the name of your service. You can make it a bit of poetry that you like. You can make it a couple of words that sound pretty. Doesn't matter as much as the very clear tagline. And that's not the only way to do it. That is not the only way to open your page. So I want to show you a couple of ways that I've used. Share screen. Ooh, ideal length for the tagline, as short as humanly possible, but clear. So it's sort of like as long as it needs to be to do the job of being very, very clear. And I don't hate longer taglines, to be honest. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of that. So this is the sales page for my Truer Copy Mastermind. And what I did is took all of my rules and broke them, because that's what I love doing. And I went for a surprise. And I've seen this work on some pages, and I've seen it where I'm like, oh no, let's move that back down to the bottom. But on my page, I like to play with people's expectations. And I know that my people expect to find all the things that they actually want to know way down at the bottom. So by surprising them out of that, I grab their attention. They want to read more because this top of the page section has one job. And then we go into the more traditional, and you'll see how this works, the more traditional header tagline. So what is it? The Truer Copy Mastermind, that's the header. The tagline, what is it? Live group copywriting program. Who is it for? For coaches and conscious entrepreneurs. Little descriptor who like to do things differently. Notice the so they can is a little bit buried. It's a little bit quieter than the first two. Not all of those three things need to have equal weight every single time. Sometimes you're going to find you can only fit 2 out of the 3. It will still work. As long as you have 2 out of the 3, it's going to be clear enough to do the job. So this is mostly getting 2 out of the 3, but really the so they can is doing things a bit differently. And then I go into what that actually means. So I want to show you what this looks like, not on my own sales page, because I tend to break all of my rules with reckless abandon, but you'll notice the pieces, all of the pieces are there. They just might be reorganized. So I'll show you what this looks like. With Joanna's page, she very kindly consented for me to use for teaching purposes. So this is her version, her draft, and I haven't gotten in and worked on it yet. But incidentally, that is exactly the kind of relationship that I have with my students in the Truer Copy Mastermind. They do a draft and then we get into it together in the Google Docs, and it's really fun and collaborative. So her header, her name of program is Reclaiming Center. And what she's chosen to do here, which is not a bad idea at all, she goes straight into the empathy section, and the symptoms that she's focusing on is sort of this noise. She works with empaths, highly sensitive people, and they get this noise coming in from other people's emotions and stuff going on. And she starts there. So what is it? What does it help you do? Notice it's the same stuff. It's just in a different order. Reclaiming Center can help reconnect you with your spiritual nature and embody intuitive clarity. I'd like that to be more specific. So let me show you what I did when I played with it. So this is the sort of let's mess with it document that I love to have. I'm going to try to make this a little bit bigger so you can see it properly. Okay, so I had a few notes to myself just to keep in mind as we're developing this. And we go over, okay, what are the changes that are being made to this program? What are the practical points we need to hit? And then who are these people? And I had a little note to myself and to Joanna, where do we want to start? We want to speak to where they are right now first. What are the struggles that are top of mind at this moment? So we've got the headline, Reclaiming Center, tagline. This is where we bring in the clarity. And what she does is shamanic shadow work. And her people, very importantly, they know what that is. So we don't need to explain it. They already know. That's a level of awareness that we always need to be aware of when we're talking about our modalities. Do they know what that is? So her people do. Shamanic shadow work, what is it for? What are we helping them do? For deep healing and energetic rewiring. It's kind of intriguing. That's a little different. So they can, whenever you see a so, it's a so they can. So early trauma stops blocking your intuitive signals. Now, this is an esoteric, difficult to explain thing that you really have to experience to know what the hell it is. And we've still gotten some clarity in there to give people the hint, like, oh, I'm interested in that. That sounds like kind of what I need. And they're going to read that first paragraph. And then for the first paragraph, this is what I was playing with. So the primary pain point that I emphasized here, and it might not be the right one, it's definitely not the only one, but it's the one I chose to lead with, and we can alter that later, is they cannot trust. They've lost their ability to trust and tap into their intuition. Because, so trust your intuition. It's so easy for some people to say, but not her people. When early trauma has caused you to override your intuitive senses and actively not listen to your own heart, it's hard to hear your inner whispers of truth and even harder to trust them. So we're actually moving pretty rapidly from this pain point to this section that I usually reserve for further down the page, but it's why it's hard. Why is it hard for them to listen to their intuition? And it's because they've really trained themselves to not do that for survival, right? And so then we get into reclaiming centers for people who recognize that the ripple effects of early trauma have been tripping them up in multiple layers of their lives, and who know it takes time to untangle the knots of fear, grief, and anger enough so intuition and self-trust can blossom freely. So there's a little poetry in there, but it's a lot of clarity about the exact problems that she addresses in her program and what it actually helps them to be able to do. And then we go into a more traditional empathy section of what does it feel like right now? Do you recognize that question? What does it feel like? Maybe it feels like, it's okay to use maybe, go for it. Maybe it feels like the noise of the world keeps fogging up your intuitive goggles. That's from her draft, making it really hard to tap into your inner knowing. Maybe it feels like second guessing yourself constantly, searching for outside validation, craving permission, worrying you'll get it wrong again. And then what I asked her to do is to tell me where in their lives are they fearing that they're going to get it wrong. And usually it's romantic relationships. So I put that in, but I wanted her to answer for me, where else? Because we want to get the specificity. And then we go on to the rest of the page, but that is the first part that builds empathy and clarity together. Okay, so I want to open this up to questions, and then if you have any questions about the mastermind, you can ask those too. But let's do that. Is there anything that you are confused about, or you're like, oh, but what does it look like for me? Because that's really common.
I had put a question in the chat there, Lauren, but I think it's answered. The tagline part, I was confused if it was the answer to those 3 questions or not. But
Yes,
it looks like that's what it is.
the tagline is absolutely the answer to those 3 questions.
Okay. It feels really long.
It can be, especially like the first draft is always going to be really long, and then you whittle it down to its essentials.
Okay.
I just did like a little, if you're carving something in wood, just shaving it down.
Thank you.
Any other questions? Yeah, Angie. Oh, wait, unmute. Nope, I still can't hear you.
Found it.
Woo!
My audience is very pragmatic. They are very down to earth, salt of the earth kind of people. And because of that, I was always trying to steer away from some of the more emotional language. And listening to some of these examples made me think that this is something I really need to tap into. You can be pragmatic and you can be very functional and really just strategic thinker and still have deep emotions.
Yes.
And I think that was an untapped well for me in my copy. Thank you.
I just had a little idea that popped up from what you just said, and I'm going to put it in the chat. Herbalism for down-to-earth people who want to use the earth to support themselves and their families. Just something to play with. Because that is what you said with down to earth. That is exactly the client language that they use to describe themselves. I just heard this echo of that sounds like exactly how they would describe themselves. And I like using that when I can in a headline tagline too. Okay, I'm going to give a little blurb about the True Copy Mastermind. It is a 6-week program of working in your drafts for your home about services and sales pages. I have workbooks that ask you questions, and with the answers, we create these pages. So it's really easy-ish because you have all the answers already. It's just how do you structure them? How do you word them so they convey the value that you offer to your people who want it. And that's where it is really handy to not just have a template and not just have classes, but also be able to work together in your documents. So that's very much what we do in the mastermind. Jill was a previous masterminder. She's a graduate. And yeah, it's really fun. It starts January 16th, and you can check that out on the sales page. There's an application link up top. I'm going to repost both of the links for anybody who showed up later after I posted them. And the first one is the link to the free 13 questions to answer before you write your sales page. And the second one, that just sort of that blended them both. Let's see if they still work. Okay, good. So the first one is the 13 questions to ask before you write your sales page. And the second one is the application for the mastermind. It's very much like, let's apply first, make sure you're a fit, and then I will give you a link to pay if we both decide it is a fit, because I only want people who are super ready and able and willing and all of those good things. I only want those people to do this because it's an investment. So yeah, that is my spiel, and thank you so much everybody for joining me. I will be sending the recording through my email newsletter list this week. All right. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you, Esther. I was a little worried that my brain wasn't up to it today, much less my voice, but it worked out. Thank you, everybody.
This is great. Thank you, Lauren.
Thanks, Lauren. Really terrific.
Thank you.
Valuable as always. Thank you.